Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this video, what I'm going to do is actually tell you what happened after doing YouTube videos for the last 300 days, which is crazy. I continue to put this stuff out. So I'm actually a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I had this really cool idea for a website called reciprocity.com. And the idea was to create a platform where you can get free proofreading using sort of a sharing economy model. And then as you get better and, sort of get really good at proofreading, then you'd be able to earn your way to sort of make money, right, throughout it. So I created this platform. I actually hired some developers. To create this platform, built it, and then I put it up on the internet, and absolutely nothing happened. And I realized the issue, a large amount of the issue with the internet is actually you have to build credibility within the search engines. And I just didn't have that with the website I had. It was a really cool platform. Nothing was happening, had absolutely no traffic. So I started paying for this traffic. And I paid for it for a couple of months, and I realized it was just really expensive and the return just wasn't there. So what I started to do is to do YouTube videos, and I did that for a while. And then in July, around actually just towards the end of June, I decided to start doing a YouTube video every day and just try to be as helpful as I possibly can, which was really hard to do. And it has been a real journey that's sort of emotional journey. I'll get into that towards the end if you want to stick with this. But what I'm going to do is actually show you the results of what happened of doing these YouTube videos every single day. And I'm totally legit. I am just an ordinary person. The only thing that's probably different than me than most people is that I have an engineering background, and then I did my PhD. I did my PhD in strategy and innovation. So that's the only difference, I think, that what I'm doing compared to what other people can do with something like this. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's really hard, and at this moment, it's really not profitable with anything that I'm doing, and I'm fine with that. And this is more of me trying to do something that is unique and different, and just seeing what happens with this. The goal is actually for me to help out. The goal was to help out other people that were in my situation, and trying to find sort of credible people that are looking to get their work proofread and stuff like that. And I wanted to create a platform that was useful, so I started doing that. And I realized I had to put out these videos, and I started putting them out, and I started to learn different things about um, you know all sorts of stuff. I can get into some of those lessons if you want towards the end, and maybe I'll do that. So, but first I'm going to show you the results. So this is the last 365 days of putting up YouTube videos. This goes back to April. I was actually paying for, I was paying a little bit here for AdWords, about $5 to $10 a day, depending on whatever it is I was doing, depending on how I was feeling. Like initially I started out as 10, and then I switched to 5. And then I stopped paying for anything right about here, which is towards the end of September. And then I was just doing YouTube videos, and then just the last week I turned on some pay per click stuff on AdWords. So all of this is organic growth. So here's the watch time. You can see that it is increasing slowly, painfully slowly as these things go. Initially absolutely nobody was watching any of this kind of stuff. So, this was about 6 months to a year right here when I actually started doing my first YouTube video. It was about a year right here. So I was only getting an hour watched a day, which is amazing for those people that were watching it, but still like, wow, right? Like a lot of work to actually get there. And now towards the end, this is about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours a day. I'm getting people watching these videos, which is cool and amazing. And thank you so much for if you are following along. And I could show you the views. This might highlight, the pay-per-click and stuff like that. So you can see this was pay-per-click, or I was paying for video views, and really they weren't all that effective, right? Nobody was watching them. And then it dropped. This is where I stopped paying for it. And then you can see it's gradually increasing over time, kind of just a regular exponential growth, which is great. That's what you want to see, right? Like that's how these things grow. It's just kind of a slow exponential growth. Fantastic to see, right? And I could show you here what happened. So this is, I'm actually going into the search traffic so you could see this at this moment. And you can see this is all Google or YouTube search. This is all organic stuff. So nothing until January, right? Absolutely nothing. It was painful. I was feeling pretty down at this moment because I'm like, what is going on? Then I started getting more, which is really great. And thank you so much again. And you can see it continues to grow kind of at a nice clip. The red, I believe that's suggested views, right? Yeah, that is suggested views. And then as well with the external, sometimes it sort of promotes in Google search, right? So if I go to external, and you can see the Google search is starting to show up more. So these videos are starting to show up in it's loading a little bit. So you can see it's the top one, right? It's just showing up gradually in Google search, which is really nice. Thank you for following along and watching that. I'm going to click to, this is the website traffic, and this is since October. And you could see here, so there has been changes on my website. I have a developer. I started getting him to do some stuff. So initially I had it built out, and then I stopped doing any development on it. And then come about mid-December, I found a really amazing developer that I'm super happy with, and they've been doing some work on it. So great stuff that they've been doing. So happy to find that. And you could see over time, so since this is October, right? That's when I stopped paying for views. It is a gradual increase over time, and that's quite nice to see this traffic over time, gradual. Sometimes it goes down, and sometimes it goes up, and that just kind of depends on what's going on with the search engines and what people are doing. You can see new users over time gradually increasing. Thank you again. Such a gradual and painful increase sometimes, because you think it's like, if you do something like this, you think it's going to just happen overnight, right? Like you are aching for it to happen overnight. You're like, oh my God, this is the coolest idea, and this should work. And you can see sessions again increasing over time, pretty gradual, kind of a nice sort of trajectory over time. And then you can see number of sessions per user. And what's neat here, so this is where I got the developer to change some stuff here. So now, and in the email system was kind of defunct. I had another developer before this, and they were okay, but then they kind of left me in disarray. So, but anyways, now the email system started working. You could see sort of a little bit more uniform, gradual increase over time, which is cool, as these things are, right? When you are doing, so a couple of things that I wanted to show you or tell you about in terms of doing something like this, if you're going to do something like that. First of all, you learn so much about yourself with doing YouTube videos every single day or blogging every single day. You learn a tremendous amount about yourself, about perseverance, dealing with issues and life sort of things, and being just honest as much as possible. That was the biggest lesson, and it terrifies me. Largely terrifies me to do this kind of stuff, and I still am putting this stuff out. I'm going to do this for another. My goal is to do it for a year and then see what happens after that. So another thing that I learned is that this stuff is very gradual, and it's a slow process. And I read about it that it was going to be really slow, but you don't really understand that so much, but it is a really slow, gradual process. It's really exciting to see the amount of traction I've gotten, but it's still really slow, right? Like this does not net me any money at this moment. It's a complete loss, and I thought I would get returns a little bit quicker, but that's okay. So the goal is with the returns is to eventually make it profitable so I can start giving money back to or start doing scholarships and stuff like that for people that are interested in organizational science and behavioral science and doing research in those particular areas. I saw a need for that. And, as a professor, we make a decent wage. I'm not sort of downplaying that in any sort of way, but it is not to the extent, we wouldn't make enough that we can sort of grow something and make my sort of charitable giving outrageous. And that's where I want to go with doing something like this, is to be as charitable as I possibly can in terms of, growing a legitimate sort of thing that actually is sustainable and that can help other people out and do really good stuff for science, right? To actually advance science much more we can. And doing something like this was a way that I thought maybe that this is the way to go. And I started doing it, and it turned out it was tough. And I continue to feel that it's tough, and it's not going to change anytime soon, but I'm going to continue doing this because I know that other people, think it's a great idea. And I think, with more work, more development, more effort, more videos, all that kind of stuff, it can do something that, just wasn't possible before. And it'll get close, and I'm super happy to be part of it and leading this charge because I think it's unique, it's different, it's exciting from my perspective, but also really tough. And I just wanted to point that out. If you're ever going to do something like this, it is absolutely possible to do something like this, but also realize it's really tough. Psychologically, it is going to get to you. So if you're watching any sort of, get quick rich schemes or anything like that, and I teach that repeatedly in my class, multiple classes, because we know this from behavioral science a lot. The whole get rich quick scheme stuff doesn't really work because it is really a long-term game. And you have to think about in a mindset, the mindset you're looking for an investment or doing anything that's unique like this, you have to have your mind of like, okay, this is 5-10 years. If this goes on for 5 or 10 years, then something might happen. Until then, it's a pipe dream. And you really have to think about that, if you do any of this kind of stuff, because I do watch some of these, I look up, how do you actually speed up, web page traffic and stuff like that, and there really isn't a way. You just got to get out there, be legitimate, be a real person, and continue to do something, right? And you just do that repeatedly over and over and over and over again, and things happen, but it's really slow and gradual. So that's all I wanted to talk about, is that there is a mental game behind this, and the mental game is tough. Not a lot of people are willing to do it, and I think I'm pretty unusual. You have to go through some weird things. I don't know if you follow Dave Ramsey at all. If you watch or listen to his show, you'll find out that he talks about people being, I think he calls them like they're just weird, right? Of like paying off their home or paying off debt. And that's really what it is. You are weird, and people do sort of look at you strangely, and they have different comments and stuff like that. But you got to keep pushing through it. It's a whole part of it, right? So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. And if you're interested in doing anything like this, do make sure you leave comments. Happy to share anything along the way. I could do a video and stuff like that. I might not maybe put comments in there, but I could do a video because I'm happy to do that. So thank you so much. Take care and have a wonderful day. All right, bye.